Roger Fisher and Mike Fossen, former members of Heart, talk about one of their biggest hits, longest lasting signature song maybe? Yeah, Magic Man. Okay, one more Magic Man. What can you tell me?
Okay.
Who came up with the doom 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 doom? Who came up with that?
I don't know. But really don't know who came up with that. But Mike and I are writing a book called Bros. Dual autobiography.
Oh, before you say anything, what's the timeline? Because this is exciting.
It's really exciting, and it's tough because we want to do a pre-release, but in order to offer it for sale as a pre-release, we have to have an idea of when we could start to release at least snippets or chapters of it. And we're both kind of on the fence about being willing to do that because we're so busy with our live performances and recording the next albums and that sort of thing.
By the way, let me interrupt you. You know Dan Pica, who's dead now, of America? That's how he released his book. When he left America, I think 77, I interviewed him before he died. He released chapters online via his brother, who's still around, and it worked really well for him. And then he had a complete... people liked... He found it was the beginning of the information age where people didn't have a lot of attention. He says, even for me. And they wanted to know the dirt of America, but he released chapter by chapter, by the way.
Okay, so here's the deal. I'm going to say this now. We are going to offer, for pre-release, at least one chapter on Halloween. And that's a deal.
Okay, good.
If Mike is unable to contribute, I'll do it myself. But no, we're gonna come up with something solid and good by Halloween, and that will be for sale. And I'm gonna put a video up online that announces that within a couple of days.
And also, please Roger, stay in contact with me because by then, my God, we'll be at like 80,000 subscribers. We're almost at 50,000 now. Keep in contact with me, and we can talk, and we can help promote it for you. I mean, as we always say.
In the book Bros,
yeah.
I'm going to tell the story of the day I recorded the solo in Magic Man.
Okay.
And it begins with Nance and I waking up. We were living at our producer's apartment at the time, and we wake up and Mike Flicker tells us, "Oh, I'm gonna go down to the studio now." And his girlfriend went off to work, and he left. And then what transpired is some good meat in our book that the listeners will really be entertained by.
What's one of your songs? Oh, by the way, what do you get asked about the most when fans come up to you? You guys seem accessible. You know, when you're doing the heart stuff, heart by heart. What do people come up to you and ask you the most? Like there must be a few questions. Because like Randy Meisner, for instance, when I talked to him a few years ago before he ran into his medical problems, he says, well, obviously take it to the limit. I mean, that's the big thing. It's over and over again. It's what they ask me. But what about you?
Well, you know, everybody has a Dreamboat Annie experience, and Magic Man was a huge part of that album. And Magic Man happened to be the very first song that I recorded for that album. And it was actually the very first song I ever heard myself play on the radio. And
that's a moment.
Yeah. And there's a whole story there too.
Oh, no, go ahead, please.
Okay, so we got notice from the record company and the management company and Flickr and everybody else said, hey, tomorrow, a certain radio station in Vancouver is going to play Magic Man. So,
do you remember what you don't remember the station, do you?
Well, no.
What wasn't C-Fun, was it?
It could have been.
Because I actually worked. I actually worked for them. But anyway, go on.
It was, and back then FM was king.
Okay.
And sometimes they would play 3-4 songs of an artist in a row. That's not unheard of nowadays, but sometimes. Anyway, they said they'd play Magic Man during the day at some point. So I got up in the morning, turned on the radio, listened all day, heard everybody else you can think of in the whole world that was popular at the time. Nothing. And I thought, maybe I got the day wrong. But that night we had, excuse me, we had to play at a club. And so I had to take a shower. I mean, I couldn't go.
Oh, no.
So I jump in the shower, get soaking wet, head to toe, bam, it comes on the radio. So, of course, I jumped out of the shower, dripping wet, grabbed a towel and went out, and I listened to myself on the radio for the very first time, totally naked, dripping wet. But
I was naked when I heard myself.
I loved it, though. I loved it. And nowadays it's the same thing. If I hear a Heart song that we played on the radio or in an elevator or whatever, I stop and I listen to it. And one of the main reasons is because Mike and I still play the songs, and I'm listening to make sure, are we still doing it right?
Yeah, but when you listen to it, I'm just kind of curious, and I know that experience can change every time you listen to a particular song, but when you hear a song, do you see yourself back there, or how does that show up in your head when you hear it?
Yes, a lot of times you do have these flashes of playing the song in the studio, and you see the drummer sitting over here, and maybe the guitar player's over here. You remember if it was a hot day or whatever, the sun was out, whatever. A lot of that album was recorded in the spring and the summer, beginning of the summer. So there was a lot of nice weather. So I remember tank tops and stuff in the studio because it was that warm.
The rain never got to you in Vancouver. It took me 7 years in Vancouver for the rain to get to me. It took me about 7 years. Mind you, Seattle's a little like that too.
Well, you remember from May, June, July, August. I mean, there was a lot of sun usually during those times back then.
I can't afford to live there anymore, so I just kind of look from afar.
Oh yeah, well, Vancouver, wow. I mean, it just went over the top with all the Hong Kong people moved there, and they just started buying real estate. And my son's wife is into real estate, and she's like going, you can't touch a house for less than $1 million anymore.
No.
And it's just like a 2-bedroom, 1-bath little place.
I hope you really enjoyed that. I want to address the fact that it looks like I have a black eye, but I just got a big mole removed from the top of my eye, and then a secondary one over here. So it looks like I've been in a bad bar fight. The doctor was very kind, and it doesn't hurt. If you want to support the channel, remember the 2 Ps, Patreon and PayPal. If you join our Patreon, you'll get early access to all our videos. And if you simply want to make a donation, you can make one right now. The links are at the top of the description on PayPal. Buy a t-shirt, subscribe to the channel, like our videos, and of course, comment on them as well, and share them on social media. We'd appreciate that.